Hello, friends. I'm Eric Hutchinson. I'm the principal broker and owner of Hutchinson Realty. Welcome to video 15 of my video series, How to Buy a Home in Northwest Arkansas. We have done a lot of videos and talked about a lot of interesting topics, and we are getting close to the end of our Arkansas real estate contract that we've been working through. We're going to be talking about page 10 and page 11 out of 12 on our Arkansas real estate contract, and we're going to go through 9 paragraphs. That's a lot, but I'm going to do it in less than 5 minutes. Let's see if I can do it. We're going to be talking about assignment. What happens whenever the buyer isn't really the buyer? On the contract, it tells who the buyer is, but sometimes that's not really the buyer. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Act of God clause. What is that, and how does that impact our Arkansas real estate transaction? We're also going to be talking about the big blank. These topics and more are what we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to do it in less than 5 minutes. Let's get into it, shall we? So I'm going to start with page 10, item number 24. Last time we talked about item 23, which was possession, and we're going to be talking about assignment on item number 24. Assignment is basically whenever the person that's named on page 1, the buyer, isn't really the buyer. It's whenever someone like Walmart or someone doesn't want the seller to know who is buying the property. We call that assignment. This paragraph says that this contract cannot be assigned unless the buyer discloses to the seller and the seller gives permission for the contract to be assigned. So that has to be done separately, or this paragraph needs to be taken off of the contract. Item number 25 is our Act of God clause. And the reason why I call it that is because if there is some cataclysmic event like a tornado, an earthquake, a hurricane, something that destroys the property before the buyer closes on the property, the buyer is not obligated to close on the property and buy the home. So even if the buyer is buying the property as is and there's a tornado that totally destroys the property before closing, the buyer can get out from this Act of God clause or risk of loss. Now, 26 talks about governing law. So there has to be a law that governs this Arkansas real estate contract, which would be Arkansas is the state. So the Arkansas law governs this contract. Item 27 is severability. Severability basically means if the realtor misspells a name or doesn't dot an I or cross a T, that the rest of the contract is still valid. It doesn't discount it just because the realtor makes a minor mistake. Let's move over to item number 28. 28 is the merger clause. The merger clause basically says if you want something, you better put it in writing because nothing oral counts, only those things that are in writing. 29 is our buyer's disclaimer of reliance. Notice that it's in all caps and bolded. It basically says that the buyer is responsible to verify all information about the property. A buyer says, well, what about the multiple listing service? You've got the square footage, you've got taxes, all these things that supposedly are correct. But if you look at the very bottom of an MLS sheet, it says information deemed reliable, but not guaranteed. The buyer is the one that is responsible to make sure that everything is as they think it is. So that's why it's all caps and bolded. So make sure that you're doing your research. However, if the seller discloses something to be true about the property, you can count on that and the seller is responsible. But it just says that the buyer needs to do their research. Item number 30 is what I call the big blank. The big blank is where we write in anything that's not already in the contract. You'll notice in the contract, it doesn't say anything about the house needing to be cleaned. So if you want it cleaned, you write it in. If you want the seller to remove any debris or install a security system or a fence, you would write it in item number 30. 31 is time. It says we're in Central Standard Time. And 32 is attorney fees. It says that if there is any litigation, that attorneys can include their fees in the contract. Well, guys, that is our 9 paragraphs. Did I make it in time? Yes, I did it. So you can always reach out to me at info@hutchrealty.com. You can go to our website and view every listing in Northwest Arkansas. No matter what, I wish you the very best. Come back and watch my next video, or subscribe if you're on YouTube, or like it if you're on Facebook. No matter what, may God bless you and may God bless your home.